Welcome, fellow dreamers. Welcome to Northland Homestead. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my love for books. We are going to talk about some summertime treats and just enjoy this cozy rainy day in with our favorite iced coffee, and let's get to it. So if you're an introvert like me, maybe you also love to read books and to escape into a whole world of your own making. I love cottagecore aesthetic and also all of the hobbies that kind of go along with that, like knitting and reading books and calligraphy. And I personally have kind of acquired quite a collection of really great literature, partially because I love to read and I like to collect books, and also because my mom is a librarian. She is actually the lead manager of the adult circulation department and has been now for some time. So I get great recommendations from my mom whenever she has read a book or her book club has read a book that she really likes. She lets me know, and then I go ahead and purchase it on Amazon. So without further ado, let's get into my collection and my recommendations for you for this summer. Let's start with my collection of homesteading books. I recently acquired a couple more, and I shared that with you guys on a short not too long ago. But these are some ones that I've already read and have really enjoyed and frequently return to just to kind of get advice or understanding of a plant or how to can something. And the first one I'm going to share with you guys is this one. This is Canning and Preserving for Beginners. So this just lets you know every recipe that you can pretty much think of and how to preserve it through the canning process. It has both water bath canning and pressure canning, and has been a really great resource for me that I've used time and time again whenever I've wanted to preserve something through canning. The next one I would like to share with you guys is this one, and it's called The First Time Gardener, Growing Vegetables. And now this is from a fellow YouTuber on this platform. I've never personally watched any of her content, but I have read this book and I really enjoyed it. She basically just kind of goes through everything and has visuals that are really pretty on how to grow your vegetables successfully in a garden, how to set it up, all that kind of jazz. She has like organic pest control solutions and just various things that one would need to know when starting a garden for the first time. So this was a great resource and I highly recommend it. Next we have The Complete Gardener's Guide. Now this book I really love, and if I had to choose between this one or this one, I would go with this complete guide, because it lets you know everything you could possibly need to know about each produce in the back. And this I use a lot. So right here it has everything you need to know about onions and shallots, and it'll tell you when to plant them, when to harvest them, how to know like what to look for pests, all that kind of information. Basically anything you would need to know for that specific plant variety. And the same with garlic, green beans, I mean, you name it, it's in here, and you get a full outlook on what that is. So this is really helpful. They don't just do for vegetables too. So if you're also into like making your yard space look really pretty, they have all of that information in here as well. So it's just kind of a complete, like it says, complete guide to all things gardening. So whether it's flowers or just yard space or actual produce that you're going to consume, this is a really good comprehensive look at that. Lastly, for the homesteading books, I have this one here, which is called Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. This is great if you too are starting a raised bed garden. We just put in our raised beds this past, actually a couple months ago. We just finished planting all of them out and officially have them all filled. And this is a great resource for kind of understanding what it looks like to have a raised bed garden and what all that entails, how to build them. This also has a lot of information, just like that Complete Gardener's book, where it has everything you kind of need to know as well about those plants. So if you want a little bit extra information, and specifically with raised bed gardening in mind, then I think this is a great solution too. Next, we are going to get into some of the books that my mom has recommended to me over the years. Starting with Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, I think is how you pronounce it. This was a fantastic read and was pretty popular a couple years ago, so you've probably heard about this. They've even more recently made this into a movie, which I watched and was also pretty good. It was pretty close to what the book is, so if books are not so much your thing, then I definitely recommend watching the movie. But definitely read the book first if you're going to read it, because the movie obviously has spoilers. This book, though, is about a young woman who has to kind of be on her own. She lives in, I think it was either North or South Carolina. I can't remember now. It's been a little while since I've read this book. Okay, it is the North Carolina coast. And she lives in the marshes where it's not super, populated by people from high society, and she's not really well looked at. But it's a really kind of like a mystery. It's got suspense and intrigue and beautiful North Carolina coast surrounding scenery where it's talked about that a lot. And yeah, I can't recommend this book more. It's just a really, really good read. Next is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This is a really, really interesting book. I've never read anything like it, where it takes an animal, and in this case it is the octopus, and shares a kind of a story from its perspective. So the whole book is not from the octopus's perspective. It follows a older lady and also a young man, but it also has chapters that are specifically from the octopus's perspective. It's really, really interesting, and it sounds kind of crazy, I know, but honestly, the chapters, or the sections, I should say, where it was from the octopus's perspective were my favorite, and I think this is a really, really cute read, so I definitely recommend this. Again, this was a recommendation by my mom, and I'm glad she recommended it because it was a great book. Another book that my mom recommended was The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This book is such a good book. I would say between the three books that I've shared with you, The Remarkably Bright Creatures and The Crawdads, this one is my favorite by far. It's not specifically summer oriented. I will say the beginning is, but it definitely follows throughout the seasons. But this talks about the beauty of Alaska and makes you feel like you're kind of experiencing it for yourself. And it also has a human condition story and is just such a fun read that I've actually read this book at least 3 times. And I know I'll read it again because the Alaskan landscape and the story that's attached to it is just so good. I really enjoyed it every single time I've read it. I just know I'm going to come back to this one for sure. This is a great recommendation from her, and I highly recommend it as well. The last one that my mom recommended to me was Rainwater by Sandra Brown. This book was not my all-time favorite, but it is my mom's, one of hers at least, all-time favorites. She has read many, many, many books, and this was one of her favorites. She absolutely loves the man in this story, and you will too. Anyone who reads it definitely loves the man who is one of the protagonists in this story. And it's just a really cute story about this mom who is dealing with a child with special needs, and she meets a man who kind of just opens her world up and open to new possibilities, is really kind to her special needs boy, and it's a really cute story that is very, very summer oriented because it's kind of a drought and hot time, so this is a really great summertime read. Another recommendation from my mom is Educated by Tara Westover. This is a nonfiction book and was really, really interesting. If you enjoy human condition stories that are like, I can't believe all that they came through and experienced and how they came out on top, this is a great read for you. It was really popular a couple years ago when it came out, but it's still a really great book. It was a New York Times bestseller, and for good reason. She is a fantastic writer, and she came from really, really poor cult-like background and somehow came out on top stronger than ever. Educated woman when really her background is so limited in education until she became an adult. So Just a really, really great book, really interesting life story, so I highly recommend this one. And now for my summertime reads. The two that I have read this summer is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This book was really, really cute. If you're looking for a feel-good summertime romance, this is the book for you. It takes place in Prince Edward Island in Canada, which if you know anything about that area, it's absolutely gorgeous. Very coastal, very cute, just a really quaint little area. And this story is really adorable for that reason. It's a little bit racy. I would say on the spicy meter though, it's not that high. It just does have a little bit of that. So if that's kind of something you're not interested in or bothers you, this may not be the book for you. But I wouldn't say it's really all that bad at all. It was a really cute book and I highly recommend it. My favorite part actually was the ending. This is not going to spoil anything for you if I just say that she has to kind of find herself in the end. And it really, I think, took a really great look at finding oneself in a healthy, sound way that you don't really always see in media and other outlets. So I thought that was really great, and this book was a really fun read. And the book that I am currently reading is A Summer Escape and Strawberry Cake at the Cozy Kettle by Liz Eels. This book I have not finished, so I can't recommend it entirely because I don't know how it ends, but I am about halfway through and have super enjoyed this book. It takes place in the Cotswolds of England, really cozy cottages and a little bookstore slash coffee cafe. Just a really cute atmosphere, cute love story between a more middle-aged woman and a middle-aged man, so I recommend this one, at least so far. I'm definitely a sucker for the covers of books, and if it's a cute one, it can definitely make me want to read it just because of that. And this one definitely has that. It has all the summertime vibes with the fresh strawberries, the lemonade, the little ice cream. It's just so cute, and I'm really, really enjoying this light read. Lastly, I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of a wild card, and this is by no means a summertime book. I would definitely say that this is a very autumnal, preferably October book, but if you're like me and you're already eagerly looking forward to autumn, then you may also enjoy this book, which is called Slooh Fo by Brom. This is a very, very unique read. I have had a hard time explaining what this book is like without giving away too much because I don't want to, ruin the story for anyone. But if you're looking to kind of mix up your reading list with something that's a little bit unique and fun and also kind of intriguing, then I think this is a great one for you to read. It will definitely put you in the witchy October vibe mode. And if you liked The Witch, the movie The Witch, this is, I think, the best comparison to that in book form. So I definitely think if you liked that movie, you will love this book. And I definitely recommend this unique read. Without giving away too much about this book, she is a woman in the 1600s who's accused of being a witch. She's on her own and she has to kind of figure out life with the Puritans, trying to make her way in the world, and she comes across a little bit more of mystical kind of creatures and things like that. So it definitely has a little bit of a fantasy element to it, but it's a really, really interesting read. I won't give away too many details, but it's a really good book and I highly recommend it. Thank you so much for taking a look at some of my recommendations and my librarian mother's recommendations. I hope that you guys can have a really great summer of reading as well. I have a lot of books on my TBR, so if you'd like, I can share some more recommendations here in a couple months or so when I've read those. My wish for you is that you too have a nice rainy day in with reading one of these great books. And if you do, please share in the comment sections any of your recommendations that you may have, or if you've read any of these books that I've recommended and what your thoughts were. I really love reading everyone's comments and getting to know you guys a little bit better, and I love any book recommendations because, like I said, I kind of collect them, so I really appreciate any recommendations you guys may or may not have. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.